what we're going to cover today. And thank you so much, first off, for joining us. I know that this is sort of a hot topic, if you will, and Greg and I and Lisa-Ann and William and Pamela are all getting lots of questions around what is a virtual open house and sort of what are, the things that I need to understand, what are the best practices, what are the technologies to use. And so Greg and I just wanted to put together something that we're calling the nuts and bolts of a Zoom virtual open house. Why Zoom? It's the most prevalent technology being used right now. If you look on MLS to see which virtual open houses are scheduled and the technology platform that is being offered for those virtual open houses, you'll see Zoom is probably anywhere between like 75 to 90% of the scheduled virtual open houses. You will see Facebook Live, you'll see Google Hangouts, you'll see Instagram TV. So there's definitely other platforms out there, but today we're going to kind of walk you through, definitions and what those look like and what we think the world of virtual open houses looks like today. And I can promise you that'll be different in a week from now because it's moving so quickly. But we will then narrow it down to Zoom. What are the nuts and bolts and things that you need to know about Zoom, tinyURLs, how to do a form if you want to do a registration link, how to promote it, all of those different components, because I know it's overwhelming. And so we're going to try to cover that today in 1 hour and end with a live demo of Zoom. Okay, so thanks so much for joining us. Greg, if you want to give a couple of reminders on our format today.
Yep. Just waiting for the slide to go up. You guys will all be muted. And so we're going to mute the mics. We're also turning off your cameras. If you have questions, please use the Q&A. Somebody might want to advance the slide. It's not working, or at least it's not showing on mine. We will be recording today. So once everything's downloaded and we get this posted, our video will update it to you.
So Greg, I can see the slide, the reminder slide.
It's not allowed. You can?
I can. Yeah, William, can you?
Yeah, I am advancing them at the moment.
Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, I not showing for me, but that's okay. So but that's okay. I don't have control over it anymore. So Kelly, you might want to take control then on advancing the slides. It's not working on my end, even though we're two presenters. But in any case, our reminders are, again, you're going to be muted. We're going to have your cameras off. We will be using the Q&A for questions, so the chat, if you could use that, and then we will be recording. So go ahead, Kelsey, you can take the next slide.
Perfect. Okay, so we wanted to start it off with a little humor. I think all of us have had this feeling of wanting to pull our hair out with some of the new technology, even what you see happening right now where Greg can't see something that we can see. And sometimes technology is amazing and sometimes it's overwhelming, frustrating, and doesn't work the way we want it to. So we want to use today to just break down some of these frustrations and so many open questions around virtual open houses, like what to use, what are we recommending, how to just set this thing up so it doesn't feel like such a mountain of unknowns for you guys. We're going to try to take away that pulling your hair out feeling from the virtual open houses. And so this is sort of the basics, the nuts and bolts. So some of this may be total review for some of you, and some of this is going to be all new. So we're hoping we can cover everybody and get all of us to a new baseline of understanding. But I will caveat it, Greg and I are newbies. We're probably like 1 week into using Zoom in this capacity. So we're certainly not experts, but it is a really easy to use platform. And so we're just hoping to share some of those tips and tricks and make things a little bit easier by sharing our learnings today. And if we don't know the answer, we'll get it to you. And I'm sure things will evolve, like I said. So be patient with us. But we're excited to kind of share what we've learned in terms of best practices. Next slide, William. Thank you. So like I said, today is just about breaking it down to the nuts and bolts. We're going to lay the groundwork for when you make that decision that you want to host an open house, a virtual open house. What do you need to think about? What are the decisions you need to make? What are the technologies you need to use? What are the formats and processes that you need to consider? Because you can really customize this to fit you and your business and your team if you have a team. And so we're going to lay all of those decisions out for you so that you kind of have a roadmap as to what you need to do to get started and hit the ground running. You're going to want to do some testing. You're probably going to want to be prepared to try it once and change after that first weekend. But we will give you the process steps to figure out, like, if you want to make changes, how can you recreate this without starting over next week? How can you make simple pivots and tweaks to make it better every week, but have a process in place so that you can take this on step by step and not feel so overwhelmed. Next slide. Thanks.
So we're going to go over some definitions, and I think I'm hoping we're not recording from my side, because if we are, my slides aren't working. So hopefully it's recording and you guys are seeing the slides, because they're not working for me. So I'm actually working from the slide deck, opened off to the side. Anyway, so for the definitions that hopefully you guys are seeing right now is, what is a virtual open house? And this is distinct from a in-person open house. It is a live, virtual, narrated, either on-site walkthrough during a pre-scheduled window of time, or group or one-on-one, right? That is a live virtual open house by definition. And then what is a virtual tour? Well, we should all know what a virtual tour is. These have been around for quite some time now. This is a static virtual display of a home's photos, or pre-recorded slideshow with some music in the background, right? And then you have what is a video tour, right? That's a pre-recorded product, actually, not stills stitched together like a virtual tour of photos. This is actually a video of the property. It might have music, and it also, what is most commonly we see Matterport, they're right out of Mountain View, and it gives you the ability, or for the buyer, to narrate through as you do a walkthrough through the rooms, the doorways, and down the halls and the outsides, depending upon what you've actually done the 3D imaging of. So those are the three types of property tours that you can do. We have a virtual open house, which is a live narrated on-site walkthrough. What is a virtual tour? Again, we all know what that is. It's stitched photos together. Video tour, by its own name and definition, it's a video of the property. And then you have a tour, which would be a Matterport, or you could do a guided virtual tour, which is, narrating over a actual virtual tour. Kelly, you want to take the next slides?
Thank you. Okay, so what are the types of virtual open houses? And you'll see everyone's using the name or the acronym VOH. What are the types and platforms that we see out there, and some of the pros and cons to each of those? So the first option that we see is a live on-site walkthrough. So often it can be, oops, I think my slide changed. William, it's on now slide 2. Sorry, we're having some strange slide issues today. Thank you, William. So on option 1, it's a live on-site walkthrough. Sorry, Greg, it was cut out a little bit. What were you saying?
That's okay. You're good. I had taken control just in case we were having that recording issue. So we're okay. William's good. I can see the proper slide now, so we should all be good.
Okay. Okay, thanks. Okay, so option 1 of 3, the live on-site walkthrough. So that's going to be Facebook Live. That's going to be Instagram TV. That's going to be Zoom, just using the show video function. It could be done with Teams, kind of like we did yesterday on the Virtual Brokers Tour. It could be Google Hangouts. And most often you're using your phone for that walkthrough on site, and you're using whatever connection you have accessible to you at the property. If it's vacant, you most likely don't have Wi-Fi. So the streaming of that video is not always going to be the best quality, right? Because you're relying on that connection, and sometimes that's just the 4G on your iPhone. If you are comfortable with your connection, I think that's a great way to give buyers something that they won't get elsewhere, right? It's not pre-recorded. It's not something they can just look at from the comfort of their own home on their own time. This is something that's live. You can answer questions. You can show them the little corner of something that wasn't in a photo or a video that was pre-recorded. So that's really the advantage, is that it's different than the content that's already available to them. There's live interaction. And you can show video for any specific questions. They wanted to see the tile on the bathroom floor or something. So that's the advantage of that. But you do want to always test your connection, because that can really vary. And the quality of that video and that streaming is going to be very dependent on that connection. Like I said, the cons is that poor quality if you don't have Wi-Fi potentially. If you use Facebook Live, you're going to have one-way communication, really, because you do have questions coming in that are streaming down the screen, but you aren't really interacting with voice with those people. So that's why Zoom can really be helpful in that sense. The second option is a live narration of a virtual tour or recorded video. So you saw that yesterday if you were on our virtual brokers tour, where there's content of some sort of a virtual tour of a slideshow, or there's a video that was taken, very high res, very high quality. You're sitting at the comfort of your home office right now on strong Wi-Fi, so the connection and the quality is really great. You'll use Zoom, Teams, or Google Hangouts type platform for this. The quality, I think can be very impressive, but it is fixed content. And typically the content you're using is going to be something that's already available out there. The narration is really the only differentiating piece. So that would be the value add that a consumer would be looking for when they come to your virtual open house for something like this. We also have a third option, which is a Matterport, right? That 3D floor plan tour. And the nice thing about that is it does let you almost virtually walk through a property, and you can narrate with it. It feels a little bit more like you're there than if you just did a video or photos on a virtual tour. And I got a lot of comments yesterday on our virtual brokers tour that was everyone's favorite yesterday that we did. The quality, like I said, is high, and also it feels a little bit more like you're on site. It is fixed content that's usually available again online, but the narration I think can be a little more detailed. It can feel like more of a walkthrough, and it's more real, if you will. So those are kind of the three options that we're seeing, and then you also can see a combination or a hybrid of these. If you want to hit the next. The animation, Greg, perfect. So we had a handy little animation that we wanted to add here, because really we can see any variation of these. So I know actually Greg might want to talk to this, but he popped into an open house a couple weeks ago and they started with a video. And that was sort of the beginning of two different parts of the virtual open house, where they brought everyone that showed up in the first part of the open house, started the video, and then you did a live walkthrough after that. So if the quality wasn't great on that second piece, you had at least the high quality video to start out, to know what it really looks like with the quality there of those images. And then they ran it again later in the meeting. I don't know, Greg, if you want to add anything to that, but I thought that was a great use of a hybrid approach.
Yeah. Can you guys hear me okay? I hope.
Yes.
William, next slide. Okay. And yes, any variation of those three coupled together, all three, it's all acceptable. The big distinction, as Kelly stated, is whether it's a fixed, right, or whether it's live. So you can go narration and do, difference between narration and voiceover, right, that it's already recorded. So anyway, why do you need these, right? Well, it's what the consumers want, right? It's a way to reach people, because right now we're not doing any in-person gatherings, public open houses, and we don't anticipate, and this is Kelly and I's opinion, right? We don't have a crystal ball, but we're not anticipating open houses coming back anytime soon. So you can sit back and wait until we go back to open houses, or you can embrace the technology now. And this is a way for you to differentiate yourself and to show your clients and your sphere that you are still actively working. You safely show without any of all that the regulations and restrictions, as you just all saw, of what it takes to do an in-person showings these days. Doing these virtual shows clearly much easier for all parties, can whatever way you do it. And if you've done one of these or seen one of these, that's the thing, right? If the internet on itself, right, those pre-recorded no idea why that happened, but if it's pre-recorded, right, and if pre-recorded or photos were what consumers wanted, we'd all be out of business a long time ago, and that's not the case. So people crave that interaction, additional information that they're only going to get from. Okay? Next slide, William.
Okay, thanks, Greg and William. So, all right, we got to the point. We just wanted to kind of, like we said, lay the groundwork there for the definitions. What are all these people talking about? Because if you actually go on MLS right now, you'll see a lot of people are scheduling virtual open houses, but they're not really the virtual open house because there's no live component. It's just a link. So we just wanted to get that out of the way so everyone's speaking the same language. Once you get through all of that, we understand what we're talking about here with hosting a virtual open house. You want to give it a shot. You're ready to go. Now what? So we've mapped out 8 key steps as you're thinking through how to pull this off. What are the things that you need to make decisions on and customize to fit your business and how you want to execute this? So first is just pick the type of open house that you want to host. You can do that live virtual open house with a hybrid. You can do just the walkthrough. What platform do you want to use? Is it Zoom? Is it Facebook Live? Is it one of the other ones? We're going to focus on Zoom because we think it's the most prevalent. And so that's why you'll see for our kind of case study here or use case, we're going to walk through some of these decisions in red. But obviously, as you're picking your decisions for your virtual open house, you can make any number of decisions here. Number 3, create and update your account so that you have a Zoom or Facebook Live account ready to go. So we'll walk through that at the end today if we have time, a live walkthrough of how to set up an account. And I'm going to show you some screenshots later about which account to pick. You want to pick what is your date and time. One thing I'll mention is these are much shorter than what you are used to. So a normal 3-hour open house, not a virtual open house, but a regular open house, that's the old way of doing business, right? None of those in-person open houses are happening right now. The virtual ones, I'm seeing anywhere from like 1 to 2 hours max. And I put here just as a sample that we'll walk through 1 to 2:30. Sometimes people are doing stop in for the first hour, Q&A at the end. Sometimes they're running 2 cycles of a tour. So there's many ways to do it, but I think expect it shorter than what you're used to on a normal open house. So we're going to schedule it in Zoom. You schedule it as a meeting. So that will give you the link that you can then post in MLS and send out in your marketing materials. And we'll talk about ways to transmit that link and not have it changing all the time every week. Decide if you want to gate it. So what we mean by gate it is on number 6, do you want to capture information, have people register or, subscribe or sign up for this open house? So number 1, you know who to expect. Number 2, you might pick up some leads. And number 3, you could follow it up with like a customized email, see you this weekend. And then it also gives you opportunity to have sort of a registration form that can be edited each week so that your link is always pointing to that changing content so that you don't have to change the link every week. And we're going to talk about the details of that. But gating is a question that you need to think about and decide how you want to do it. Some people may not be comfortable entering their information. So that would be a reason not to gate it, is maybe you get some more people there, but gating it has some advantages too, and we'll talk about that. So also think about how you're going to promote it and implement it, and then how are you going to execute it? Are you going to have 2 people there? Are you going to have 1 person doing it? Is it just you? Is it a team? Do you want people to kind of be waiting in a waiting room? Do you want them to come in? Do you want to break them out into breakout rooms? We're going to talk about some of these things on the coming slides, but I think these 8 basic steps will kind of give you a framework that as you're planning these out will help you think of the major buckets. and then we'll go through some of the details of how to implement this in the rest of this meeting. So William, if you want to go to the next slide, that'd be great.
Hi, everybody. All right, so quick overview about Zoom itself, right? It's easy to use. Many of you probably already used it before. You know, just go ahead, play around with it. You can't break it. Host some parties. I know I broke down and bought an account because my did a birthday party, surprise birthday party for my older brother and his grandson who share the same birthday, and it was fantastic. And what I can tell you is we got my 83-year-old mother to be able to use Zoom on her iPad. So if she can use it, you can use it. So that's what I just want to say, right? It's compatible with all of the different operating systems that are out there. There are some differences between the desktop version and the mobile version, so you got to play around with it. There's two plans to consider at most of our levels here, whether you do a free account or whether you do a user account, pro account. It's only $15 a month. If you're going to be doing virtual open houses, I highly recommend that you break down and pay. If you want to pay for a year in advance, go right ahead. You'll get a little bit of a savings, but you can go monthly. It's only $15, right? I do have to put in a plug. Teams is free, so just so you know, and it's available to you. But there are some features within Zoom that, as we'll talk about, that that aren't in Teams yet, but they are coming, right? You sign up. It's real easy. You create your account. In the top right-hand corner, you manage your profile. You can post photos like we did, right? If I turn off my video, my photo comes up, right? If I put my video back on, I can change my name. Sometimes, if any of you have been in a social meeting with me, I go by Lord of Zoom. Anyway, so you can have fun with it. You can. One of the things we recommend if you're doing a virtual open house, put your name and your number in your right up as your name, so you can change that. So if Kelly, you want to do that, and so people, if they look at you, can show it, right? You want to also set up passwords, right, to prevent hackers, especially if you're going to be promoting this and getting this out into the public. Decide whether or not participants can join before the host. We talked about this. Put them in the waiting room. We highly recommend that. And we'll go over that, right? Enable the waiting room, enable breakout rooms, enable public and private chats when you're hosting your meetings, permission and transferring the files, who can share their screens. So there's all sorts of things that you want to decide to use, and then use speaker or gallery view depending upon your use, right? So there's a lot of questions that you want to answer, and there's a lot of features of Zoom that allow you to really kind of, as we like to say, make this Oscar worthy, your presentation. Kelly.
Perfect. Can you go to the next slide, William, please? Thank you. So I just wanted to show you how easy it is to find which account. In the top right corner, you see there, it says sign up, right? That big orange button. And then you go to a list of different, you're going to see different options there. I recommend, if you're going to do virtual open houses, that you do option 2, which is the second option. It's $14.99 a month. A couple things I want to call out here. One is that it's up to 100 participants. So, you know, that shouldn't be an issue. We're seeing, honestly, like 5 people at a lot of these virtual open houses. It's more about the promotion at this point and getting your name out there, you know, all of that stuff on Facebook and everything, than it is necessarily that so many buyers are going to be in there. So I don't see 100 participants being an issue at this point. That may change. You also need to know that you can only run 1 meeting at a time. So if you've got 2 open houses with 2 listings, you'll just need to stagger them. So since they're shorter, maybe you do one from 1 to 2:30 and another one from 3 to 4:30 or something. But if you need a second account, you can always add that. You do not need, though, the business or the enterprise account, just to explain that to people. And you really need more than 10 people to do those. But those are looking at vanity URLs where you'd have, like, you know, .Kelly Griggs Realty or something is the end of your Zoom. You don't need that. So to me, you're going to set up a shorter URL anyways, which we'll show you in a couple slides. So go for the $14.99. The reason not to do free is it's only up to 40 minutes if you have more than one-to-one people on the call. So if it's more than 2 people, that third person will then cap it at 40 minutes, and you don't want to have to keep starting another meeting or get that warning. So that's just something to be aware of when you're looking at the free versus the pro. So if you want to go to the next slide, that'd be great. Thank you. All right, Greg, do you want to cover the promotion before we hand it over?
Sorry, I was muted, and I was finishing up a thing in the chat. You want to promote yourself, the exact time of your open house. You want to get as many eyeballs to the property, right? And what I need to tell you now is that the big 3, right? Zillow Group, Realtor.com, they're all having challenges, even Redfin. They're all having challenges with the whole virtual open house. We can put it in MLS, you can put the link in MLS, but what's happening is, and when it syndicates out, it's not showing up. So there's some tips and tricks that we're going to show you on what you want to do to help promote this. So you want to go and get there. This is the roadmap. These are the physical signs for, and as opposed to your, these are the online signs as opposed to your physical signs. You're going to advertise on LinkedIn, on Facebook, and Instagram, online publications, sign writers. You decide whether you want to use the gating of the property to capture more leads. If yes, you need a registration form. Are you going to use Zoom? Are you going to use Microsoft Forms? There's all sorts of ways that you're going to have to remember to promote this and get the name out. You can't just rely, just like if you were doing a regular open house, you can't rely on the traffic for drive-by. There is no drive-by. You have to drive traffic to you.
That's great. Thank you. So I think, William, if you want to take it away, Pamela's going to talk about the promotion later, and we're going to go into the conversation of gating. So this would be, you've made the decision on our little 8-point checklist that you are going to have a registration form. You're going to gate it. So what next? How do you do that? Take it away, William and Lisanne.
Okay, so I am actually going to share my screen for this portion. Let's see. Okay, so now that someone's interested in your open house and they want to attend, how do you get their information to send them information on your open house? So I'm going to quickly show you how to make a Microsoft form, which is going to capture their information. So we're going to make this form from scratch. You would go to forms.office.com to do that. This is included in your Office 365 suite that Coldwell Banker has provided you. So new form immediately pops up this blank form. You can title your form Open House for something like that. You can add a photo of the listing or customize an image for that. And we can add a new question. So there are different formats for you to choose. You can do multiple choice. You can do text, rating, date. These are the main categories, and there are more if you require different formats. So let's go with text. So first and last name. Choice, which open house are you interested in? So Saturday or Sunday. And you can also enable multiple answers if you want, but if you want to restrict your prospects to just selecting one day, then keep that toggle off. And for sure, you want this information to be required, so toggle the required button. I've actually made a form for agents to copy. So this is the form that I made for you guys. You would put your listing address here and edit any information in the description. Add more information if you want. I've included first name, last name, email, cell phone number of the prospects, any questions regarding the open house, and when you want to send this link out to your prospects or you want to include it in your MLS virtual open house link, you can press share and copy this link. Remember to toggle these options to anyone with the link can respond, because if you select only people in my organization can respond, they would require a CB NorCal or CB Realty login. And so I've actually shared this. I will share this link as a template for you guys. I will put it in the chat later. And if you press on it, let's say I've copied and paste this link here, you can duplicate it. So once you duplicate it, it ends up in your forms. So right here, it's saved as a copy. If I go to my forms, you're going to see a copy under my forms. Okay, one last important thing to note, that under settings, you have the ability to customize a thank you message. So you can say something like, thank you for your interest, a calendar invitation containing the open house information will be sent to you via email shortly, and put your contact information in there as well. So how I would handle this form is allot a certain time frame to collect responses, and when it's close to your open house, go to responses, and you can open the file in Excel. So I don't have any samples right now. I can do it really quick. Submit. Okay, I have one response, that's my test response. I can view results here, individual results here, or I could go to Excel and open an Excel spreadsheet with all that information. So you can copy and paste the emails and easily send out a big list and also import that into your contacts. So you see here, that's my test response. And it's super easy to syndicate with platforms like Prospect Square or InTouch. Okay.
Ready for me to bring it back, Lisanne?
Yes, please.
All right, I'm going to call back up our slides here.
And if
William
you go,
and Lisanne, can you guys,
the second slide?
can you guys just talk really quick about how to, if you want to set up a form, like how you access it? And I know William put it in the chat, but if you just want to mention like they can use the same credentials and where they go, that would be super helpful.
Yeah, for sure. So you can access it through CB Desk, or just type in forms.office.com and sign into your CB NorCal or CB Realty email. And that's how you access forms. Let's see.
Yes, so this is part of your Office 365 account.
Yeah, so
Once
here's
you're
the
in
link.
that for Lisanne briefly showed that.
And Francis asked, where do we see the responses? So should I share my, I'm gonna share my screen again. My forms. Okay, so it would be here's the editing page. Questions. This is how you can edit the form. And once you get this link, it doesn't change. So you can edit this as much as you want and the link will stay the same. Responses is this tab over here. So it's next to questions. You would get the responses over here. Does that answer your question?
I do want to add in here that while Microsoft Forms can be set to email you, the person who owns the form, when somebody fills in the information, what it will not do is it will not email the person who submitted the response. So when I receive emails from agents who fill out forms that I've created, what I end up doing is I go ahead, I get that automated response saying, you know, hey, this agent has responded to my form. And then I personally go ahead, email them, invite them to a calendar meeting, and I personally reach out to them. It's a great chance to be very personal. It's a really good opportunity to reach out to them, go that last little extra step, and it makes sure that they actually do follow through and attend. One of the advantages of doing this, we're actually going to go right into sort of our next section here on Bitly and tinyURL, is that when you create a form like this, you can go ahead and edit that form each week. Editing that means that if you change the open house time or the day or the date, you can change that in your form. You can change the Zoom meeting link. And what it doesn't do is it doesn't change your forms link, which also means it's not going to change your Bitly link or it's not going to change your tinyURL link. This is an advantage. It means that you won't need to keep recreating the information that you're going to put onto your MLS account, and that should help save you some time down the road. So I think we're going to go ahead and we're going to jump right into my next little section here on shortening your link with either Bitly or tinyURL. So one of the things that we run into is that like a Microsoft Teams meeting link is this long. It's huge. It's not going to fit. It's not going to be pretty on a lot of your digital marketing pieces. And we can use Bitly or tinyURL to shorten it to something that looks a little bit more like what we're seeing here on the bottom. Now I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, and here we are. I'm going to go ahead and show you, here's what Bitly looks like, and then here is what tinyURL looks like. Both services offer something that is free. Bitly does offer some paid services, but for what we're using, the free version is going to work just great. So whatever you choose to use, if you want to provide a Zoom link directly, if you want to provide a Microsoft Forms link, whatever link you're choosing to use, it'll all work in this. You're just going to go ahead and we're going to start with Bitly. And all you got to do is find this little button where it says shorten your link. You want to go ahead, paste that link in, then just click the button that says shorten. And then it's going to go ahead and have shortened it. Then you're going to go hit that little button that says copy that now pops up, or you can highlight that text and copy it. Either way works. And that is your Bitly link. Now, please note, once you create a Bitly link, that's it. You can't change where it's going after the fact. So this is why we recommend using something like a Microsoft Form or like a recurring Zoom meeting, so you can sort of keep reusing the same Bitly link or the same tinyURL link. Changing it week to week means you're going to have to keep uploading new photos to the MLS, and that's just a bunch of extra time, and we want to help you save a little time on that. And you're going to see that tinyURL, much the same way. When you go to tinyurl.com, and you can go ahead, paste that URL in, and whatever URL you want, make a tinyURL. Go ahead and click make tinyURL, and it'll make it. You also have the opportunity, and this is something that Bitly does not offer as a free service, but tinyURL does offer, is the ability to make your own custom name. Now, if the name's already ever been used, you won't be able to use it. So calling it something like open house isn't going to work. Someone's already taken that. However, if you don't want to make a custom alias, you can just go ahead, click that make tinyURL button, and you'll be able to pretty quickly create a tiny URL. And it'll tell you a tiny URL was created, and it'll tell you that the link that you placed has now been turned into this tiny URL. Go ahead, you can either click the button that says copy to clipboard, or just go ahead, highlight that text, and hit copy. Either way, that is how you create a shortened link. Now, if we go from there, we're going to go ahead and we're going to call back up the slides real quick. Now, I've covered this just a little bit already, but we're going to talk just briefly about a couple good ideas and tips and tricks with using these tiny little links, which is, again, remember you're using the correct link. You don't want to send people a bit.ly for last week. However, again, if you're using something like a Microsoft form, something that's static, you can go ahead, edit the form, and then you don't need to change your bit.ly link. That's going to be helpful as we go into this next step here. I'm going to be showing you guys how to use a little template that we provided that'll allow you to add your materials to an MLS photo. That way you can have it appear on syndication in this little interim where we don't have virtual open houses appearing on things like Redfin, as Greg was mentioning earlier. Oh, slipped right past that slide. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen again. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you all how to do this in PowerPoint for the web. This is something that is provided to all agents. I have this template. It was sent out in an email, and we'll be able to provide it again for you. And there are 2 slides on this template. This template has your sort of classic listing for blue, as well as you have a global luxury black version. And it's going to look something like this. And at the beginning, you're going to notice that there's no image here and that this information is totally blank. So you're going to want to first kind of go ahead, input the day or days that you're doing a open house. So let's say if I was doing it today, it would be May 14th. You know, I'm hosting it from 2 p.m. Maybe and then I wanted to go, maybe I go 2 to 3:30 p.m. And I can say that this will be a Thursday. And you can fill in whatever day of the week, whatever time you want here. You can register using the link below, and we can go ahead and you can paste in that bit.ly link or that tiny URL link that you've used. Just go ahead and fill it in right there. Now, the next step is going to be a little bit more tricky. We've got a bit of a tutorial that we've created that'll help you with this process. It'll be included with this template. You're going to go ahead and find this. There's these 2 little buttons in the middle. One of them has a picture of a computer screen. The other one has a picture of a magnifying glass. We're going to want to click the one with the computer screen, and it's going to ask us to insert a picture. So we're going to go ahead and choose a file. You're going to want to have this file already prepared. I have one already from one listing, and it's the first photo that was on the MLS, and this is the one we're going to want to use. So we're going to go ahead. I'm going to go ahead and hit open, and it's going to hit insert. Then it's going to think about it for a quick second. And here we are. Here's the photo. Now, by definition, the photo is a little wider than the space that's available because we're having some of it covered by this virtual open house. The way we can go ahead and edit that is by giving this a right click. We can actually hit this crop button right here. It's going to open this little section which shows me the shaded out gray part. Everything in gray is completely hidden from view, and it's going to have you showing a new cursor that has arrows pointing up, down, left, and right at the same time. From here, we can actually go ahead and drag this, and there's these little orange marks that tell you when you've lined up with the edge of something. So just go ahead and kind of drag it to where you want. Say maybe I don't want this fountain to be showing quite as much, so I'm going to go ahead and pull that out of the way. And I say that I like it just like that. Now, when we go ahead, just click anywhere else away from that, and the new crop has been placed, sort of whatever part of the photo you want to showcase. The last step here is we want to turn this PowerPoint slide into an image that you can actually go ahead and upload to the MLS. So we're going to go hit File up here in this top corner. We're going to go hit a Download As button, and it's going to offer you to download as images. When we click that, it's going to first save any changes that you got going, and it'll offer you that button that says download. Now, when I go ahead and download it, it automatically popped up a little zip file. You can go ahead and extract that zip file. It's got 2 slides in it. just remember that to use the slide that actually had your photo in it. So in our case, we edited the blue one, which is going to be your slide 1. If you use the Global Luxury version of the template, go ahead and use the slide 2 photo. We're going to go ahead, we're going to hit extract. And right now it's going to be sending it to my downloads folder in a folder called Virtual Open House Template 1. We'll hit extract. Go ahead and open that up for me again. And from here, now we can go ahead and take this photo, just go ahead and open it, and you can see that it's turned into an image. We can then go ahead, upload that image to the MLS. We recommend that you add this image as your first image on the MLS, and then the image you used to create this, make that your image number 2. So you can see sort of the photo with some of it covered with the information, and then again with just the full photo in all of its beauty. And just like that, you've got an image. Let me see if I can call those slides back up for everyone.
Thanks. And while you're doing that, William, really appreciate it. That was super helpful. I just want to connect a couple pieces to the equation here. So that was wonderful to see that you created the form and you created the bit.ly, which points to the form. And the question in the chat, which is a really good one, is like, wait, where's the Zoom link then? And where are you going to get that? So we'll do a live demo at the end on how to get the Zoom link. But also the way that we envision this happening is the bit.ly, that's going to stay the same because you're always pointing to that Microsoft form. That form then can be edited to either have that Zoom link on the top or to have that Zoom link on the confirmation page so that it won't be there unless they put in their information. And then each week that you have a new Zoom link because of your new meeting time and your new open house, then all you have to do is just update that Zoom link. So I just wanted to connect those 3 pieces, and we'll talk about how to get that Zoom link shortly when we do the live demo after.
I've got that up here on Forms right now, where what happens is if I've got a bit.ly that points to my form, I can go ahead, just change the date, change the Zoom link, change the conference ID, and it automatically saves. Forms is really cool about that. That way you don't have to change that bit.ly link. You don't need to go through making a new open house slide.
Perfect. Thanks so much, William. That's great.
All right. I'm going to put those slides back up for you.
Great. So Pamela, if you want to talk about how to promote your virtual open house, and then at the end, we're going to do the live Zoom demo, and I'll show you how to schedule and just kind of what that looks like.
Thank you, Kelly. Thanks, William. So really what I'm here to talk about is how you're going to promote your virtual open house. So you've done all that legwork, which led you to a moment where you want to send that information out to your sphere, to other agents. You want as many people to know about your virtual open house so that all your efforts pay off. So if we could go to the next slide, please. All right, so these are some of the ways that you can promote your virtual open house. And I'm going to walk through some of these. So how to create a Facebook event to let people know and include all the details that are going to allow them to attend at the right time, at the right on the right time, at the right link and all that information. Adding your virtual open house URLs to the MLS, using things like Boost by HomeSpotter or Facebook ads to promote your upcoming virtual open house, sending out InTouch e-blasts to your sphere, using just regular social media posts, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, any platform that you're on to send that information, as well as YouTube. Next slide, please. Okay, so first is going to be how to promote your virtual open house using a Facebook event. So let's assume you've logged into your business page. At the very top there, you're going to see a create button. So you're going to click that. And next slide, please. You're going to have you're going to have a drop-down menu that opens up there, and you want to select event from that drop-down menu. Next slide, please. And what opens up is going to be this left side over here. It's going to allow you to add an event photo or video. You can give it an event name. Of course, that's going to be really important. Type something that's going to be significant to the virtual open house and obviously to entice people to attend. The location is going to be the URL, I would say, or you could put in the location of the property if you want to put in that address. And then in the description box, you want to put again, an enticing description, a date and time, as well as the Zoom link and all that information. And then you're going to create private event. That's the little button that you may not be able to see right now down here. And next slide, please. Then what you want to do is review all of the virtual open house event details. So you want to make sure that the event name is right, all the contents that you've just put in are all accurate, and your event description. And you can always go back and make any edits. You see that edit functionality over here. Next slide, please. And once you've done that, you want to blast it. There you go. You can actually invite people that are currently in your Facebook network. You just can go through and individually invite people, or you can add a name, email address, or even a phone number in order to invite people to attend your virtual open house through this invitation, Facebook invitation. Next slide, please. All right, so how do you add your virtual open house link to the MLS? You can add it now. We all know that the MLS has relaxed some of their rules, and you can add the link, the date, the start time. How the input might look would be, you might have, virtual open house heading there. You'll have the Bitly link, the date, the time. You only want to add one date and time window per listing. The MLS would like us to add the date in this format: month, date, and year. And you should, everything should be in local time, obviously in 12-hour format, and you can include your virtual tour at the end of the remarks so that the information can be pushed out as you want it to be to and index to other websites as well. Okay, so I mentioned Boost and HomeSpotter. They do have different types of listing ads and virtual open house ads, as well as agent promotion ads. But right now, it's a really great opportunity to create some virtual open house ads to let people know about your upcoming virtual open house tour. So, if you want more information about that, you can either reach out to me, Lisa or William, or check that out through Desk. I won't go into those details right now since we are running short on time, but I just wanted to let you know that on your virtual tour ad, you can have a call to action, you can use your own video, you can collect, they do have a section where you can schedule an invite to collect potential buyers' contact information and add all of that information in a really easy, the platform is super quick. And it has great functionality. It takes you just minutes to create an ad, which would appear on Facebook, on Instagram, and high traffic websites. Next slide, please. Next would be Facebook Ads Manager. It's similar to Boost in the sense that you're creating an ad that would be a sponsored post on Facebook. So if someone is in their timeline and they're scrolling through their posts, we all see ads right there in the center. It would be a really great way to create some kind of compelling Facebook ad to promote your virtual open house. You can actually link your ad to the registration form that you would have created so that you're capturing their information. And that way you also know on the back end how many people to expect on your open house. And then similarly, another way to promote your open house would be to use eBlast, whether that's in InTouch or any other CRM or in eBlast format. The point is that you have an opportunity to keep your clients informed and to really show them how you're staying on top of things, even while we're sheltering in place. You're making the use of all the technology that's around you, and have the ability to reach a really wide scope. That may also encourage your clients who are thinking about selling to want to sell right now, because you do have the ability to still do everything virtually. So one of the InTouch campaigns that we have right now, it takes you from the start to the end of the process. And you can see here on the screen, you could do a virtual buyer consultation, virtual property valuation, virtual presentation, virtual property marketing, virtual property showings, and all the way to a closing. So this is a really great piece to send out to keep your clients informed about what you can do today while you're sheltering in place. Again, Facebook and Instagram, just regular posts, are really important pieces to add to this, because for free, you can keep people informed about anything that you're doing. I would highly recommend that whatever you post on one platform is consistent with another. So you see in this example here, Selena, this is not an ad or a promotion for a virtual open house, but very consistent on Instagram and Facebook, giving the same information, the same image. It's recognizable. We know that it's the same agent and that has had a sale. So really great way to utilize your social media platform. Again, Prospect Square is just another option for eBlasts. So I think reach out to Lisanne, William, or myself if you do want to announce your virtual open house that's coming up, and we would be able to share that with the MLS network. And then one other way that you might possibly share your open house, your upcoming virtual open house, is to include it in as part of your email signature. So I have this at the very bottom here of my mock email signature. This would be a link. You could link it to the registration form, which would contain all of the details. And that's also something that we can help you with if you have questions about that. And lastly, just to reiterate, you have your email through your CRM. You can insert any information in any monthly newsletters that you're sending out on a regular basis. You can include virtual open house information on that. You can post on your personal website. And if you use YouTube, why not use that platform as well? Create a quick video and notify your followers of your upcoming virtual open house.
Thanks so much, Pamela. I appreciate it. So what I'm going to do right now is, this is kind of ironic and sort of funny, but hopefully this will work, is we're going to share my screen to show you Zoom inside Teams, okay? So quickly, I know we're running short on time, but this won't take too long, because what we want to do is get basically you guys just kind of an overview, and then you're going to want to set up your account, kind of play with your settings. And so what I'm going to do now is share my screen and go to Chrome. Okay, so you guys should all be able to see my Chrome screen. I'm going to open a new tab and just go to www.zoom.us. Okay, so that's the website you go to get an account for Zoom. And then just like I showed you in the screenshot, you can create an account. It knows that I have one. But basically, if I want to, I'm already logged in actually. So that's why I have my account up here. I could then change different settings. You're going to want to play with all of your different settings over here, so that you've got things like host video, participants video on, audio type, like all of these things. Like join before a host is a really important one. And I think for the purpose of an open house, you want to think about not having anyone join before you, okay? You want to allow participants in when you actually set up a meeting, because that way you can see their name. And then when you're going to host this open house and let them in and either share your screen so that you're going to show like a virtual tour or a video and then narrate to that, or also do a live walkthrough, those things are going to be once you've let people into the meeting. And so I'd highly recommend don't let people join before you. Enable a personal meeting ID. You can actually customize that to your cell phone if you would like. I don't use my personal meeting ID on these meetings. I just let it auto-generate with a password, and then I customize the password. So you want to go through all these settings. There's so many. You can mute participants when they enter, send a meeting reminder, all these different things. Private chat, like we talked about, Greg mentioned all of these different settings. But you can see there's a million of these, and you want to test it as you walk through these and try the different features and see what works, what doesn't. But basically, in Meeting Basic and in Meeting Advanced, you want to look at that for scheduling meetings, for email notifications. All of that is super important. So when you come into your account, so pretend that I've already gotten my account. I paid $14.99 like I showed you on that slide. I'm now logged in. I've done my settings. I'm going to schedule a meeting. So it just opens up just like this, and I'm just on the web. So basically, this is just going to be a test meeting 2. Whoops, I misspelled it. So then I'm going to go back and fix that. And then you can enter a description if you want. That's optional. You pick the date. So I'll do today. It's 3 o'clock. I'll set that up for 3 o'clock, 1 hour Pacific time. Is it recurring or not? Is registration required? I don't do registration because that's essentially what we talked about in Microsoft Office forms. I'd rather use that one that I can continue to edit. This would be a registration form specific to this meeting. I generate a meeting ID automatically. I require a password, but I would do something clever like CB Realty or your name or, you know, the address of the property. Something fun there for the password would be cool. Video, I would put it on for the participant. Audios both, to computer and telephone. Enable join before host. You don't want to do that. You can decide if you want to mute people when they enter. Enable the waiting room. That's definitely what you should do. And that keeps people in a waiting room until you let them in. In my settings, I've enabled breakout rooms. You don't want to use breakout rooms unless you have another co-host with you that's in another room. And the idea is that basically they would come in once you let them in out of the waiting room. They'd come into the quote unquote lobby or the general meeting if you don't have breakout rooms. And then you can welcome them with their name because you see that person's waiting to get in. And then once you let them in, you say, hi, how can I help you? And then everyone's kind of in there. And then you could send them to a breakout room of your colleague that basically is going to let them tour around with that person. That way you could monitor and have kind of like 15-minute cycles of tours and then engage with them and talk with them before you send them over for the tour. So don't do breakout rooms unless you have multiple people. That's sort of like the advanced version, and I'm happy to talk to people about strategies and show you that in detail. You can record the meeting or not, and then you're going to save, and that's it. So once I save, I can add it to my calendar automatically. There's my meeting ID, the password, you can show it, which I already set to CB Realty. There's the invite link. So those are the 3 pieces of information that you are going to want to send out or post. And then the invite link. So that is what you are going to post on your Microsoft Office form is the meeting ID and password and the invite link. Because the invite link, they can just click and go direct. Meeting ID and password, they could type it in if they prefer to go that way. So that's all my settings. I think those are kind of the main things I wanted to show you. If you want to invite people, you can click copy the invitation and it'll show you this. You click copy, and then that copied everything to a clipboard, go to your email, paste it in, and then you can send that out and invite anybody via email or via a meeting invite, okay? So that's sort of how to set up the meeting, how to get the link. Now I'm going to go to, let's see, if I'm going to join a meeting, I just want to show you that. You can type in the meeting ID and then basically give them, the password will be on the next screen if there is one. I always recommend using a password because if you don't have a password, that's what all that press was and the lawsuits about privacy is that people didn't have passwords and there were people hacking meetings. So just be aware of that and be careful. Okay, I'm just going back to my account. I'm trying to see where my meetings are. I go back here. This is the schedule of my meetings, okay? So the one that I just set up that we just did was test meeting 2. Earlier, actually it's already gone, Greg, so I'm just realizing that's not gonna be there for you to join. But if I start the meeting from there, I'm going to open Zoom and actually, sorry, really quick. I have to go back and unshare and then reshare. So give me just 2 seconds. Okay. So let me just go back to Teams because I've got to share a different screen now. Okay, now, so I was sharing my web browser and now I'm going to go back and share the Zoom meeting. Okay, so this is, can you guys all see that? This is actually the Zoom browser or the Zoom screen that pulled up the Zoom program, okay? And so what you can do in here is play with the participants, and I don't have any participants, but imagine if I now had 3 people in here. It sends up a little reminder that says so-and-so's waiting in the room, and then I can click over, let them in. And then here I can mute people, I can rename them, I can, turn their video on and off. I have all of those controls. The breakout rooms are here. If you wanted to, you could assign people to breakout rooms. That's how that works. You can create rooms. So I don't have any breakout rooms right now, but I would just add a room and I could have multiple rooms if I want. I can assign them, bring them back. It's really easy to use the breakout rooms, even though that sounds pretty complex. If I wanted to share my virtual tour so that I'm going to do a narrated virtual tour video, then what I'm going to do is click share screen. And then that, if you guys can see that, that's going to give me all of the screens that I could then share. So the way that you would share is you'd go to Chrome, and then you would share, you'd already have that website up, and then you would share that website and then narrate through it. When you're done with that and you want to flip over to the second option of a live walkthrough now after you've done a video or a website virtual tour, is then you just flip back to stop sharing. So at the top, it's going to allow you to say stop sharing once you share your screen. And then you're just going to turn your video on and you turn your camera around and you're going to walk through and you're going to narrate. So that's how it works in terms of the logistics. I know that probably was fast and I know we're running out of time, but my advice is pick a friend, pick a colleague, pick a family member, do this with them, practice it. That's what I did with Greg earlier today to just make sure the team sharing of Zoom and all that works. And even so, even though it worked perfectly earlier, we still had glitches with Teams. It's technology. There will be little bumps in the road, and that's okay. The show will go on, and just be comfortable being vulnerable, trying something new. There will be little bumps. Everyone understands. Everyone's in this together, and there's no one out there doing this so well that you can't jump in and try it. Okay, so that's my recommendation: is give it a shot and test it before with your friends. Okay, I can't show you the actual share screen because that's where the double sharing of the screens gets caught up. But hopefully that gave you a good idea. And then the best advice is to get in there, get a Zoom account and start playing around with it and let us know if you have any questions. Okay, so thank you so much for being here. I don't know if there were any last chat questions that we wanted to cover before we go. Publish for an hour, set it up for an hour and a half. Oh, that's a good idea. Greg was just saying, yeah. So you can definitely make the length of the meeting longer than what you publish. It's not going to kick you out if you have a paid account. If you record the virtual open house, is it okay to use it on MLS's video? If you're going to record it, that will record the whole meeting. I would just be careful with that because you're going to have visitors there that may not want to be recorded. So if you have any questions, I think we've got everything, William and everyone. Is there anything we didn't answer in the chat before we break? I know we're running late.
We have one more question that just came into the chat asking, would you say that Zoom is the best option for a virtual open house?
I would. I think it's the easiest one to use right now.
Yeah, at this moment, for sure. Zoom is the, as I use the analogy of the movie studios, Zoom is your big blockbuster picture, right? And Facebook Live is an independent film studio. And then Teams right now, right, is probably mid-tier. But Teams is going through some upgrades and will soon have all the features that Zoom does. And then it'll be free. So you guys get to decide.
Yeah, and we're going to send out a cheat sheet that William and Lisanne created. We'll send out the slides. We will send out some great articles and help sites and articles that we found and videos. So you guys will have plenty of resources. So don't be afraid to let us know after you look through those if there's anything that pops up that we didn't cover. But I hope this gives you a better start and a little more understanding about how easy Zoom is to use and dive in, customize it. And there's also a bunch of articles that Zoom will send you. I think Rini just posted one in the chat, but they're going to send you a bunch of help articles once you get your account as well. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, everybody. Have a great rest of your day. We'll get you the recording when we publish it. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, guys. Everyone. Have a great day. Thank you.